Good morning, everybody. My name is Karthikeyan Gunashekhar. I work for HPE in the Middle East. I handle the worldwide AI for networking evangelist role. Thanks for this opportunity in presenting for the Resilient Enterprise webinar, and thanks to CXO Insight Middle East for this opportunity. Again, my session is all about how we can make a resilient enterprise self-driving. So I'm going to talk about that in a nutshell. The world today we are, anything that is failing or a downtime, it's not a technical failure, it's a business failure. And CIOs and CXOs are looking for a solution that can always have their network up and running, right? So there is a very famous saying which says the show must go on. And that's very, very important. No matter where your users are connected, which applications they are using, they must have a network that is always on, always up, and every time they connect is zero trust security. This is what is very, very important, right? So my solution today, what I'm going to present is how a self-driving network is going to help organizations to make that happen in a resilient enterprise, right? So starting, why it's harder today, why it's very difficult to maintain a resilient network, right? And if I want to put that into context, a complex environment. Now just think about that. Every time I go to a customer and have this meeting, the customers always start about it, hey, you know what, it's not easy. We have different VLANs, we have a lot of security policies, and we have X number of access points and switches, and it's not easy. But this is what makes IT operations day-to-day life miserable, right? They just see this complexity. Even if a smallest problem comes, they are struggling to find the root cause, and solving it takes a lot of time. And that's what we want to solve, right? Second thing is the security issues, right? And the security breaches are something that take advantage of this complex environment. And that's what we want to solve also. So what is needed to do that? What is needed to make a network resilient? It's not about just having a high availability environment and putting multi-links and multi-infrastructure, but it's how you adopt to a resilient enterprise with what you have, but also make it better. And that's what my story is. I have some numbers here, which is a realistic number on what are the organizations seeing today. 78% organizations say that their network is complex. They are not able to move on. 41% say that IT resources are not able to handle that complex environment. There is 76% talking about security issues, and then the last 84% are all talking about how their network is not able to learn because of the data is not giving them a lot of information. So all this put together, they can't go to the next step of the AI-driven architecture. And that's what we want to break. We want to bring a network which is self-sufficient, self-healing, self-driven for our customers. So uptime isn't enough anymore. And why I say that, today the whole requirement from IT organization and from enterprise standpoint is they want an experience-driven architecture where users, applications, devices connect seamlessly without any issues. Security is the forefront of everything. It's zero trust, and that's very, very, very critical. And last, where operation needs to be simpler. It has to be easier. It has to be proactive. And that's what I call the self-driving architecture. And these three areas is what I'm going to break my session into and show you how we are able to help organizations to achieve this, right? Self-driving network. And this is $1 million question. And every time we have heard about self-driving cars, which is fantastic. We know what the self-driving car can do today. It can take you from point A to point B without a driver, and it can take you safely. And that's what the network is designed today, right? We are working on a network which is capable of doing self-configuration, self-optimization, and self-healing. And this is, in a nutshell, what self-driving is. And that's what customers are looking for today, that can help them to optimize their network, to make their network ready for anything that is required from a user standpoint, from a device standpoint, and a security standpoint, but also help organizations to grow. And this is what we want to achieve. In a nutshell, how HP does that? How is HP bringing the self-driving network into the picture? We build devices, we build products, we build technologies and solutions that is purpose-built with AI and for AI. And that's a fundamental thing. And this is what customers are looking for. They want connectivity. And what is this all connectivity? from a client till the cloud. Whatever the hardware is in between, that has to understand what the demand is, what a user is trying to do, what that user wants to go and achieve, how that application is driving on the network. And all this put together is what an architecture looks like. And this is what we are delivering in a nutshell, right? Now, let me just break it into what, from a self-driving standpoint, it is. So if I say self-driving starts with AI, but AI starts with data. If you don't have quality data, your AI is not going to be great. And this is what we have changed. If you want to just put that into perspective, all the devices I was talking about in the previous slide, whether it's the campus access points or switches, you're talking about data center, top of the rack switches, or you're talking about our security portfolio, every device that connects on the network, the users, we have close to 3 billion plus endpoints connecting. And think about the number of telemetries that we receive, the quality telemetries about a user, about the client connectivity, about roaming, where they are connecting, what applications they are using. And this is what makes our data more stronger, but more clearer for us to process about a user, right? Next comes the device. Close to 6 million plus devices that is managing these access points, where you're talking about access points, you're talking about switches, you're talking about gateways. They are connecting on the network. And we get a full insight about how the performance is, what kind of rich telemetries we are receiving from these devices to make the network more better, whether it's security, whether it's showing if there is a power issue or showing there is a CPU high. All that information helps IT operations to understand proactively if there is a problem. And all this together gives us a 99% of clear visibility of who the user is. And that's the exact requirement what IT wants. Who is connecting, where they are connecting, and what they are doing. And if that is achieved, your 99% of security breach can be stopped. This is exactly what we are doing. We are bringing a complete insight of users who are connecting on your network, what they are doing on the network, what applications they are doing, and if there is any kind of anomaly, we can spot it, block it, and quarantine that user within few seconds. And this is exactly what organizations need. And on top of it, we build a complete zero trust environment, right? And that is very, very important. Once you know where they are connecting, who is connecting, and what they are doing on the network, we understand that after this visibility, how we can give them the policies to connect on the network. Who, like a CCTV camera, needs to only talk to the DVR and nowhere else. How we can restrict that. A user who is an employee, he has full access, but a guest has limited access. That kind of a control and policy is driven at the edge. We are able to enforce exactly what the user is capable of doing and not just giving them free hand to come and connect on the network. And this is exactly what we are able to achieve today. And last but not the least is continuous monitoring. And this helps us to prevent a network from any kind of security breaches that a device or a user could do. And that's all happening under the AI's visibility, right? And this is exactly what an automated security system is all about. And that's how we are able to achieve the complete universal ZTNA process in our environment. So I spoke about the hardware, I spoke about the security framework. Now let's get to the self-driving part of it, right? Think about you are a user, you're connecting on the network, you have a problem. How fast IT can tell us there is a problem. And this is what we are able to achieve today because we have the full stack solution to offer to our customers, whether it's access points, switches, gateways, routers, WAN equipment, and the whole SASE portfolio. If a user has a problem, we can identify the problem before the user gets impacted. We can solve the problem, whether it's an access point issue, whether it's a routing issue, whether it's a SaaS application issue, and understand where that problem is and what the root cause is, and give a fix immediately for that user. This is all happening proactively. There is no manual intervention, and IT operation gets an alert where exactly the problem was and how the network was solved, right? So this is one example which I really feel that makes IT operations work much, much, much easier. But also, all that system is always on. So we are coming with patented technology on our switching, on our access point, which is always on. We have live upgrades. Even if there is an upgrade required, you don't have to need a downtime. This is what a real resilient network is all about, right? Another example that we are now introducing agentic AI into the picture. And that's where the complete self-driving becomes a next notch. What is that? Now we have agentic AIs understanding how the network is operating, and then we bring a lot of recommendations for IT to optimize the network. Even in this scenario and example, where you want to understand how is my latency for the last 6 hours. Immediately you ask an agent, and the agent can get that in front of you and show you exactly where your latency is having a problem. And you can go and fix if there is anything to be done from a configuration standpoint or talking to your service provider about that latency. You have every information to go and get that fixed. So let me give you a real world example of how agentic works in our environment, right? So this is a simple dashboard that you see, and that's where we call it the agentic AI with Copilot on Aruba Central, which is a management platform. And there is an option on your screen where it says, hey, I have seen, and that's where the agentic mesh really comes and the action really showcases. It's small agents. I love to call them minions because they are very small agents working at the back, seeing how the network is operating. And if there is an issue or anything that is need to be resolved, it just puts that on front of the screen, right? For IT operation, they don't need to go and search. They just come, see the agentic dashboard, and they come to know what exactly is going on. If I click one of these actions, you see it's giving me a brief description of what's going on the network, where the problem is. Users are getting affected. There is a lot of disconnections happening when the users are roaming or not able to connect. And all this detailed information guides IT operations to go and focus on who are the users who are really getting affected, not all. In a normal day, what will happen if 1 or 2 users complain? We directly go and do a lot of changes, but that's going to affect all the users, right? Here we are able to focus on the users who are really getting the problem, right? And you don't have to disturb 4,000 users. You just have to focus on that 200 or 100 users who are getting affected and make small adjustments. So here the system is guiding the IT operation, what that adjustments are, what configuration needs to be changed, and how you can resolve this issue. That is point number 1. Now, IT can go back, after this recommendation has been given, they can go and do their work, right? They can just go and follow the recommendation. That's one step ahead now, where we are bringing the automation part. There's a pop-up button that comes up, and the pop-up button says, do you want me to apply this configuration? Now, this is where IT don't have to just go and follow the recommendation. They just click the button and the configuration is fixed. That's where you are able to now make the autonomous decision and autonomous action on the system, click of a button. That's a very powerful tool. I can also have a conversation. Today, the world of ChatGPTs and Copilots and Geminis, you all are used to talking to the system, talking to all the AI bots out there. We got AI bot into our system now, right? The same Copilot is now working with our Aruba Central. There is a question that you ask. I'm asking about an application performance here. Now you can see how detailed the system is now analyzing it, reasoning it, going and finding in the site where and how the applications are working for users. And then it comes up with a beautiful output that these are the applications that is being used. That's the status of the application. And it also gives you a data part on where exactly the user is connecting and how many users are using this application. This is exactly what IT wants. Fantastic way to summarize everything and making it very, very clear for IT. So all that I spoke about, what is it giving our users? What is it giving the enterprise, right? The result of self-driving is reduction of IT support tickets, right? We are making sure that we are solving problems faster. So 50% decrease in IT help desk calls. You're talking about, drop of 95% on, troubleshooting the network. Faster troubleshooting by 6x%. This is exactly what IT needs. And this is where self-driving is helping our IT organizations and enterprises to be more proactive in every action they take. So the network works by itself. And that's very, very important, right? HPE is leading this pack as an organization. You can see in this slide, we have already crossed stage 2 and we are going towards stage 5, which is the autonomous way of making the self-driving work. Today it's human in loop. That's why I gave you an example of you need to go and confirm if you want to do the config changes. But the next stage would be the system will be doing automatic changes based on its learning. These models are very strong. They are getting learned and trained on a daily basis, and they are able to understand and deliver what a network needs on a day-to-day basis, right? So all this why you need a self-driving network. It's not about we just want IT operations to go and turn on the toggle and start working. It's about making business outcomes come true. We want IT to support the business. We want IT not to run behind troubleshooting. We want the IT to take the next step in understanding the demand from line of business and making the business ready for the next generation, next update, next new requirements. And that's what we are able to do today by allocating the self-driving network for IT operations that can manage by itself, where IT can now be a big support for business to drive them, right? We are working with every vertical. It's not about just connecting devices. It's about how we can bring use cases, right? Just giving an example, a retail outlet. Today we are able to connect thousands of shelf labels in our access points, right? With a different protocol. And that's what they want. We are able to talk to electric sensors, heat sensors, HVACs, and control them from a single point. And this is what organizations are looking for. And there are many such use cases that IT can support the business and reduce the cost, make it more proactive, and also help businesses to give them insights. There are some of the examples that I have on the screen from retail vertical, industrial vertical, and banking. You can reach out to us and we can give you more examples on these things. I don't want to go in detail, but this is exactly why we want self-driving environment that can help businesses to grow more stronger. Our customers see that benefits. You can see that every vertical we are leading. We have customers in every vertical. They see a big success when they partner with us. You can see the comments that we are being able to solve critical issues for a retail customer, a large public venue, a healthcare customer, education customer, and this is where self-driving network comes very handy, right? And that's one thing that I want to put across. A true resilience is a self-driving network that thinks, adapts, and protects a network, and that's actionable, right? I want to end with this note. A self-driving network for resilient operation is very critical. Think about it. It's not about just making a network or making a high availability. It's about how you can use your network to be more smarter. Using the AI engines, using the telemetries, using the learning and data, we are able to do that. Come, talk to us, understand what is needed, and we are here to help you. Thank you for the opportunity once again, CXO Inside Middle East, and I wish everybody a great success. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you and bye.